It's just too hard.
Can you hear me?
Joanna?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I
Joanna.
can't find any little thing that allows me to either turn off my thing or turn off me. Maybe there it is. Okay.
And my neighbor's cutting his grass, so I'm going to go mute now.
Yes, good idea.
Good. Hi, Jocelyn. Thanks for joining.
Why does it say bring everyone together, choose together mode?
I guess we could change our view. Oh, together mode or gallery mode. I like large gallery, but
No, I just didn't know why it suddenly went up on my screen, that's all.
yeah.
So together mode will put everybody in it, like sitting in seats like we're watching a concert. So
it's probably not necessary. Maybe people aren't using that feature enough, so Microsoft decided to suggest it. I like the gallery personally. Sort of like the Brady Bunch.
Comes up when somebody goes through and plays around with the background effects, and if you pick together mode, it might change for everyone, I think.
Good. Well, it's good. It's good to see you all again. It was nice for many of us to get together in Phoenix at Waste Management. And today we thought we would just kind of get together as a group so that we can share what are some of the talks that we heard or interactions that we had to just share back with the group for those who were at the meeting and those who were not at the meeting. And so I suggested if folks wanted to, you could make a couple of slides or not. But I think we'll just kind of go around. I have a few slides too, but I didn't prepare a lot of content. But why don't we just put in the chat? So maybe as the order that we'll kind of go through. So if anyone would like to volunteer to go first, why don't we just list our names in the chat, and then we can just kind of go through that list. Would anyone like to volunteer to go first?
And Martha, I'd just like to say that.
Oh, sorry.
I'm also part of the planning committee for waste management activities. Like the next conference celebrating the 50th years next year. So I'm really interested in just I don't know if you're going to touch on it in your feedback, but general overall questions on like the venue, the tracks, some of the sessions if they were the appropriate level of engagement, if you will, the picture sessions, the exhibit hall. So if you're going to touch on any of those and any kind of if you have feedback for any potential sessions that we should be looking at. I'm also going to be in charge of to lead the track, which is the communication engagement and knowledge sharing track. So a lot of those sessions and specific activities are going to fall my purview. So if you have any feedback specifically for those, please let me know. So I'm here to just listen from all of you and take as well, so we can continue to build on our good engagement and good outreach, making sure that CRESP is continues to be involved in our waste management activities, because you guys do play an important role for our EM organization. So thank you all for going.
Thank you so much. So please, please share what ideas you have for next year. And that's wonderful. Thank you. I think we had a volunteer to go first. Is that you, Autumn?
Yeah, I can go first.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
So I'm sorry, I didn't put a whole lot of preliminary thought into this, but this was my first time going to waste management, and I had a really amazing time. I think something that we've lost over the past few years is just that actual face-to-face conversation, and missing out on, picking up on people's body language, and that, actual eye contact makes a difference. And so I had a really good time. I actually got to attend as one of the Roy G. Post scholars, for anyone that doesn't know. And so that was a really cool experience, kind of getting sort of an introduction even as a student and kind of going to that initial meeting where they, taught us the basics of the conference and gave us little tips and tricks on how we should kind of approach the conference going forward. I was very happy to kind of get my poster presentation out of the way and on Sunday night, and that was really nice. It was kind of cool to meet everyone as they were sort of wandering into the conference for the first time, and seeing everyone be excited about seeing people for the first time in many years was great. Lots of great talks. The one that stood out to me probably the most was actually a roundtable, and I've never sat in on a roundtable before, and I didn't really know if I would be really welcome in those types of situations. So it was nice to feel like I could actually step up and have a conversation with people in a much more, I guess, a smaller, more personalized setting. And in that particular talk that stood out to me, it was basically just a bunch of people from high up in different government organizations kind of talking about how they've structured their different programs and how, this regulator talks to this regulator and how this policy works with this policy, and kind of giving like a really good outline of everything, which as a student that's kind of always up to my eyeballs in the research, sometimes it's nice to take a step back and hear what people have to say and kind of give me the sort of bigger picture of the whole thing, because sometimes it gets easy to get lost in the details as a researcher, and you get really involved with your very specific field. So it's nice to see what else is out there, and sort of to gain that experience from people who have been in the industry for that extended period of a time. One of the questions that I did ask during that roundtable, and one of the things that was kind of brought up is, we have these geniuses that work in these industries, and there's endless amounts of information and things to pursue and things to do. So my question to them, and maybe this is a question for some of the people in this meeting, is, where are grad students needed? In industry? Do you need more people doing the sort of like communication sides of things and sort of scientists, ready to talk to the public and be put in positions of like representation for the scientific community? Do you need more data to back up, what we're doing? So, going forward, especially as I kind of approach graduation, that's one thing that's on my mind is where do I matter and where do people need me? Because I have a pretty great skill set, but it's optimizing the use of those, and actually getting this field to a place where we can actually start making a difference in terms of climate change and things like that, because we have the intelligence, we have the ability to do it. I think sometimes it's just a matter of doing it and finding out how we do it. So
that sounds like maybe somebody should suggest that, like, they have a women in waste management meeting one night, and different people come and talk about that kind of large scale forum meant for graduate students and young professionals might be a really great idea to send forward to the organizing committee, because that is an area that there are small groups, but there's not a big forum where you could have different people talking about what the options are and what they see as needed.
Well, it's like an event for early career. I'm not sure if there was programming targeted towards early career or not, but someone's at a meeting if you're kind of young junior, I think when I was freshman year, but sometimes you don't know exactly, like the people aren't really talking to you necessarily. Although I agree, like going to these policy, roundtables is fantastic, like for everyone to get context, but maybe more programming. I thought the idea of the job fair seemed fantastic. I didn't go to the job fair, but I thought, wow, of course there should be a job fair. So that was exciting to me that was a new thing.
What happened at it?
Oh, sorry. Did anyone go to the job fair?
I believe
I have an undergrad, I think, who went virtually.
I think it was actually in the middle of the day on Tuesday of the conference. So it was actually kind of difficult as a student to like take time out of the conference because there's so much other valuable information being passed like during these, you know, different meetings. And obviously there's other people whose talks I want to, you know, attend, people who I work with, etc. And so it was kind of hard for me, and I didn't feel like it was like super advertised. I obviously got y'all's emails, but you know, walking around the conference, I wasn't like reminded, oh yeah, there's a career fair happening right now, that maybe I should consider attending.
Yeah, although you kind of have to be on the job market with a resume, right? So like, I don't know, if you're not on the job market, maybe you wouldn't know to go. Or also maybe that's a question for you. Who you know, who should go to the job fair?
So I'll tell
No,
you.
but I was suggesting something
we
else.
had both an
That is if there's
in-person
Let's let Jocelyn share first. Can you go ahead, Jocelyn?
Okay, so hang on. So I think you can hear me. Okay. So we did have a job fair. This was the first time that we had done something like this. It was a combination. It was hybrid. We had a virtual component and we had an in-person component on 2 different days, right? So the in-person, we targeted the morning timeframes, and then the virtual was in the afternoon. So that, you know, we tried to reach as many people as we could. And necessarily for if you're looking for a job right now, because we have a lot of people, it was off to the right of the exhibit hall as you were going in. I know there was one poster that said job fair, but if you're going into the exhibit hall and coming in and out, you may not have seen that sign. So maybe we do need to do a better job with the advertising, like you're saying. So I am taking notes there. And we did have a combination of federal and private industry, and our labs were there as well with information booths. And I'm not sure what happened on the virtual platform because I didn't have time to tune into that one. So if you hear anything else from folks that did, please share that with us. And I also got the information that you shared of the early career student panel. I know there was a young professionals networking, like a happy hour for the young professionals. I don't know if you have a chance to tune into that one, but I am writing down a specific focused panel, you know, targeting early career students. I would like to hear more from you on what that could look like, and if is that something that you guys would be interested in helping us to plan for next year. We want to make sure we take all that information and, you know, continue to feed that up into our planning committee. This is definitely the ideal time to give us that type of input because this is exactly what we're looking for. So thank you for sharing that information on.
Joanna, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I was just saying that when you have things that are going on at the same time as other things, people can't go. And the women in waste management is extremely successful because there's almost nothing else going on at that time. And so people can really come. And if we're really serious about trying to get young people, and by young people, I sort of mean anybody under 40, into the field or able to switch from academia to business or business back to academia or to regular, whatever, however they want to change it, that it would seem like it would be good to try it at one waste management meeting and get people in from representing different sectors of the waste management group and see what kind of people come, because the women in waste management started very small and there are very few that went to the first few meetings we had, and now it's like a big thing and everybody loves to go to it. But it's hard to break away when you're during the day for something to get the same group. That's all I was suggesting.
Good, thank you. Let's hear from you, Tim.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, for the job fair, I went to the job fair in person. I forgot which day, but I come because of the time, it's complicated with. I have some interesting session I would like to attend, so I come to very earlier in the morning, before 8. But they don't have too much people there. And when I come to because I don't have any specific interest for my future right now, so I just want to look around. When I come to the job fair, they ask me what I'm looking for, and they direct me to the right company or whatever. So it kind of more effective. But what I would like to looking for, I'm looking for some. I don't know. I just want to look around, but there is no poster for the company or for the department that you introduce what they are looking for and what's the introduction of their company. So I don't need to talk with some people that I can have some information before I'm interested in. So that would be helpful if they have this kind of poster when I come to, and I don't need to talk. I just look around and say, okay, this is probably interesting. Then I can talk and have some more deep conversation. That would be helpful. Yeah. So
Not
this
just
is
a hiring event.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
the for the job fair. Yeah. And also for the conference, I think that the conference, huge conference, will have 2,000 people come and from all different backgrounds. This is really interesting. I hear about Joanna's presentation, talk about communication and two-way trust. Is really interesting that we need to trust our audience, and audience want to. First, we want our audience to trust us, but we need to trust our audience. That's really interesting. And we also go to a kind of roundtable. That's DOE staff colleague. Talk about the policy, how the policy make, and what's the purpose they make this policy and what they want. This is really helpful for students. So I want to figure out that my research can benefit DOE and can benefit this policy. And for specific for my research, I'm a little surprised that although we have all people from different research area or different parliament, come from industry, come from organizer, but I found we have a lot of thing that we all care about. For example, I care about PFAS. My research is my PhD program, but in the conference, you talk about radioactive waste, right? You talk about radioactive waste. I found a lot of people talk about PFAS there because I go to the roundtable and I think Justin Marber talk about the PFAS. They call PFAS emerging contaminant. It's not because they are come this year, because we realize they have become more and more important. We have a lot of concern about the PFAS. So they call PFAS as emerging contaminant at DOE site. Because DOE site is also part of the community. So if the local government try to regulate PFAS, DOE site need to regulate PFAS. I don't know whether all of you heard of PFAS. PFAS is kind of chemical, synthetic chemical that people made. There are a lot of applications had been used for several decades, and right now we have some health concern about PFAS. So many local government and also EPA try to regulate PFAS at a very, very low concentration, very low concentration, part per trillion. So it's kind of one drop of PFAS to a whole Olympic swimming pool, and this water need to be treated. Exists the standard requirement. So at the DOE, a lot of people talk about PFAS. They talk about what are specific technique, how to treat PFAS and how to concentrate PFAS. Because we feel it's very hard to treat a huge, large amount of water with very low concentration. It costs a lot, so they try to concentrate those. So these are really interesting, and also the policy, a lot of brief introduction about the PFAS and also the PFAS at DOE site. So I mean, I talk a lot, but I mean, so we have a lot of people come from all different backgrounds, but it's very benefiting me myself that we can learn from people from different background and different areas from academia, industry, or organization, what they care about. So we can how my research can benefit their work or can benefit the policymaker, whatever. So this is also very helpful. If you only focus on your research, it's kind of very limited. You need to benefit the community, benefit the industry. That's really important. So this is what I learned from waste management. By the way, this is my second time, so I really enjoyed my time at waste management. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Stephen, would you like to go next?
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to share kind of the topic of discussion of a roundtable I went to that I thought was kind of interesting, and people might have thoughts on it here. The roundtable was on effective monitoring approaches, but essentially what the discussion really revolved around was how does like machine learning and artificial intelligence play a role in I guess nuclear waste monitoring and I guess nuclear waste decisions that people make. And specifically, one of the people on the panel was discussing a way to kind of take stakeholder values and convert them into a numerical scale so that you can kind of incorporate stakeholder values into whatever model you're trying to run or whatever type of minimization problem you have. And essentially mathematically accounting for those values. And I thought it was interesting because there's some philosophical questions when it comes to, quantifying people's values and stuff like that. But I thought it was an interesting idea to kind of try and get those kind of more qualitative aspects hard coded into models that people use to build or make decisions.
There's actually a whole literature on using scales to get people's views about various kinds of things, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. People have actually been quantifying stakeholder perceptions for 30 years in different ways.
Well, it's great to be able to go to a meeting that's very broad and learn about some new disciplines.
Well,
Haruko Wainwright says that's Paul Black at Neptune. Welcome, Haruko. Good to see you here. Would you like to introduce, it's your first time, would you like to just introduce yourself? And maybe if you want to, something from waste management that you enjoyed.
Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. David Clausen has invited me to join this group. My name is Haruko Wainwright. I'm an assistant professor at MIT. I just joined MIT last year. Previously, I was a scientist at Berkeley Lab. I've been working on monitoring simulations at nuclear contaminated sites. I work on monitoring. Thank you for the comment, Stephen, on the panel discussion that I was in. I guess I've been in the waste management conference since 2008, on and off. I think this is the conference that I see a lot of people who care about nuclear waste, nuclear contamination, environment, sustainability. So I really enjoy, and they usually treat students really well. I really enjoyed when I was a student. So I'm hoping that I would contribute back to this conference in the future. And yeah, unfortunately, I was there only for 2 days this time, so I couldn't see many of you, but I hope I can see many of you next year.
Great, thank you. Would anyone else like to share something from the conference? I really enjoyed the opening plenary about the featured country on France, and it was Sophie Morlon, French Director of Energy at the Ministry of the Energy Transition for France. So I really appreciated her talk. I felt I learned some things, that I didn't realize that France was committed to net zero carbon by 2050, and that they are currently 70% of the electricity is from nuclear. So I knew that they were really invested in nuclear, but I didn't really appreciate the extent and how close they are relative to other countries for net zero emissions. And so I thought that was just a great start to the conference. I didn't, I would have liked to have gone to many of the sessions on France, but there's so many going on at the same time. So I really only, got in on the plenary, but I noticed that there were talks going on throughout.
Did they say how they got people over there to accept it? Like the problems we have here in the US with acceptance?
They may have in other talks, but in the plenary, it wasn't so much addressed. You look at Germany and then they're kind of the opposite, right? So we're in the middle maybe. But in Georgia, we have new nuclear. So, but not in that particular talk. Maybe someone else heard about it. I went to the update on US DOE salt processing. That was kind of early in the week. I don't know if anyone else went to that. But it was, it was nice to hear, just kind of the latest on the tank side cesium removal, and just to hear, what happened last week or, in terms of progress at Hanford. And there was also interesting talk there on salt dissolution at Savannah River, which I just kind of really got into the details of the dissolution properties for the salt waste processing that I just hadn't really heard a technical talk about that. I'm interested in crystallization, and so that was scientifically interesting to me. But just to hear the latest on salt processing, just a lot going on right now.
I have a question for the adults in the room. So as I'm like going into things like waste management and stuff, as someone who doesn't, I'm obviously still in graduate school working on my degree, when it comes to like approaching things like a career fair and getting business cards and trying to learn more about like my job prospects going forward, especially considering I already have technically an internship with a national lab. Is there a way that y'all would recommend like approaching those sort of situations and building those relationships? Because obviously I can't promise anything about, taking a job within the next 6 months, especially with, being a grad student, when you graduate is kind of flexible, right? So there's no definitive date. So how do you approach companies and say, well, tentatively, I'll be available in a year? How do you approach those sort of conversations and get your information out there without seeming like you're just trying to get names and numbers and then not do anything with them?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I can give one answer. I think it's okay to say, you are interested in something else, national labs or faculty track position, but I still talk with people who tried to recruit me 2008, like 15 years ago already. But this conference, I think it's great to keep connections to the industry or actual practice, even if you become scientists or professors. I think that the pure science, I believe, has to be somewhat connected to the practice. So I think I think this is a place that you kind of keep connections, and it's nice to talk with all the company people. And I don't think you need to be obligated to work for them. That's my opinion.
Well, and networking is can be difficult, I think, and seems maybe intimidating sometimes as a student or just anyone. But I think like if you go to if someone's talking, then you could go to their talk and really listen, and then like maybe ask a question, and try to not just start with like, oh, what do I want from you, or to just try to get to know the person somewhat and make figure out they can get to know you somehow if they're responsive. Not everyone might be, that's okay, but trying to just kind of prepare also to, if there's some people, like before you go to a meeting, if there's some people or companies you think you'd want to meet, to like do some preparation, do some research about what they do and kind of come in with some questions or some, specific thoughts that, if you just sort of shake people's hands and ask for their cards and, introduce yourself, it doesn't really tend to go anywhere.
The other thing is you could think about what you would like to be doing 5 years from now or 10 years from now. If you could do whatever you wanted to do, what would you really want to be doing 10 years from now that would make you happy? And then it will give you some idea who to approach at these meetings. If you definitely know you want to do one thing and don't want to do something else, if you take a longer view as well as a short-term view, it sometimes is easier to filter out who not to talk to.
And then a quick like follow-up question then. So let's say I did receive some business cards while I was at Waste Management and shook some hands with people that, I'd like to keep a relationship with going forward to some degree. Obviously, like they're not going to be my advisor at any point soon. So there's not going to be a consistent relationship there. Probably I might not see them again until Waste Management next year. Do you generally, I've had mixed responses on this. When you get a business card, do you immediately reach out? Do you wait some time before you reach out? Do you reach out at all? Or is it just kind of understood that, you can shake hands with that person and be friendly with them? Or is it rude to not reach out after you have a business card?
You meet a lot of people at these meetings. You're not obligated to do anything. It's really for you to get a view of the vastness that's out there and to think about, what do you personally want to do with your life? What's going to be important, and who that you meet is like a role model in some way that you'd like to think about those things. But exchanging business cards, you don't need to get back to people. I mean, unless you promise you're going to get back to people, but I think at your stage, you need to just meet as many people as you can and think about what you want to do. Where do you want to go?
And if you had like one really like, important like exchange, and it was really like influential, and you want to follow up about like, it would be okay to follow up, but
Sure.
in general, people aren't going to expect you to and then be disappointed if you don't.
Yeah, I think you want to only follow up if there's a good reason to, right? Like, if there was something you learned that was important, you want to let them know that, or there's something you need to follow up on. But just following up to follow up probably might be a little weird, right? So I really thought Joanna's comment was an important one. As you kind of think about what you really, it's a little hard to tell. I'm 60 now, and I think back when I was in your shoes, I don't know if I knew what I really wanted, but I kind of the things that would make you feel satisfied and happy in your career. You can start to identify those. I think that's really important. You want to go to work and feel like it's not work, right?
And also you have to be prepared for the fact that you change. In some ways, you're not really going to stay. If you stay exactly doing the same thing till you're 60, you're not going to be happy. Most of the people I know who are still doing science, are still involved in this kind of intellectual pursuit, have changed a lot of the different things that they're working on as they go along. They're not doing the same thing all the time. So part of your thinking about it is, how much do you really like the intellectual pursuits involved with waste management, and what part of it makes you most excited? I mean, I'm trained as an ecologist, and for me, what's most exciting about it is that for me, I can have a role in trying to preserve the environment. DOE has some of the biggest, most protected lands, ecological lands in the country. No, hands down, no question. Big guys with guns protected these areas. And so for me, there's a real challenge, intellectual challenge, to how to reach all the different sectors of people involved in waste management, for them to appreciate that what they have that hasn't been destroyed and has been preserved is something that they can work on protecting. And to some extent, that's what you have to do. You have to think about, what is it that would make you personally feel satisfied? And then there's a lot of different aspects you can do within that.
Yeah. Joanna, kind of following up a little bit on that, I think in my own career, I just got a friend of mine who's a few years older. He's retiring. He's a banker, and he enjoyed his career, but I don't think he feels like, that the work he did in his career, really benefited society in a substantive way. Yeah, he certainly made a lot of people business loans, and they built businesses and the like, but a lot of people could do that. And I always felt like getting an analog to what you said, the things that we were doing actually made the environment better for society. So you had these higher level outcomes for your scholarship. And to me, that was the best part. It wasn't just about writing another paper, but it was kind of this higher calling to the work, right? And I look back on my career, that's the best part.
I always remember.
So if you can find that.
I always remember what one of the managers at one of the DOE sites said to me one time. He said, so why should I care about the ecology? I have a mission I have to do. And I've given that a lot of thought. And I think for almost everything that people in this chat or whatever we call it we're having, one could ask that same question. What is it that you want to do that's going to help the mission or help the environment while the mission is accomplished? Because waste management has to occur, and remediation has to occur, and the processes have to occur. And so partly the question is, what is going to make you intellectually challenged while helping society?
Yeah. That's the essence of it, right?
I've really loved it, and I've done it more for longer than Craig has. I'm not as gray, but I'm older.
You really, and also you don't need to know that, that this, like, I never thought I'd be working on nuclear waste remediation. Like, it's not like I planned when I was a student that this was what I was going to do. So, you have these steps along the way, and then, but then, it's, as they say, probably you're not going to keep doing the same thing that you do right out of school. But, it's you don't really know what opportunities are going to come along. But if you're looking for things, based on your values or your interests, and, then you select among opportunities that come along, but rationally, but it's not all planned. Can't really be.
Most of it's not planned, I think.
Most of it,
It
yeah.
just
Some of
happens.
it. Some of it's probably planned. Some people maybe are more planners, but I'm not really.
Yeah, I think in my career, it was people I met along the way. That's the whole. This is trajectory. It's all about the people I met and who I interact with, who mentored me, and my career directly follows from that.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody talked about opportunities. These doors, opportunities, they just open in front of you, and being ready to walk through them, and take on those challenges, even if you're not ready. To me, that was the important thing I learned. Getting into this existential career stuff here, but it's good.
What about some of the other students? What are your big questions?
Or anything you wanted to share around the conference, or things you'd like to see next year at the conference.
Or anything else, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can share something. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, this is my third time actually went to waste management. One time actually was online. So, but the in person always good. So, and I like the conference because I think there's a very diverse topics, especially I think ranging from something like I'm doing solid waste management, like landfill cover. I went to Craig's. Like a panel discussion. Also, I went to Joanna's talk about Joanna talk about the book, actually in a conference, and also I went to a session that talk about the modeling, especially like transport hydrological modeling. And also I went to my session for sure. So I present and listen to the audience questions. So I think the thing I find is very helpful is because I work with on the CREST projects, and I read those performance assessment all the time. They usually give me like 1,000 page. I need to read from over and over. So here I can talk to the people who did the performance assessment and learn their process to their thinking process, thought flow, how to create this PAs. And especially this time, I talked to the Washington River Protection Solutions people. I think Pat Lee from the he actually very active in the sessions. Talk about ask questions and also talk about his process and how develop the PAs. And learn a lot. And I actually get some personal conversations after the talk. So actually, we connect via email later, discuss more about the performance assessment I'm working on. So I feel it's very helpful. Just the research perspective, know a lot of people and get to know more details. So I think it will also benefit me to produce better and the results and more meaningful results to fit interest for the general groups of either DOE and also the publics. So yeah, that's my I don't have very specific, but I think that's what I find the conference is very helpful. So.
Anyone else like to share anything? It's definitely nice to meet the people with the names that you've been reading about, for sure. So hear what they have to say. I enjoy that. Maybe we could have just a little update on the early career program with the seminar schedule and if committee meeting next week, or just a little orientation on the schedule maybe before we wrap up.
Is that for me that you're asking?
Or maybe Rapunjali, or we have a committee meeting next week, I see. I wasn't sure if we have a presentations planned or if the committee needs to regroup on that.
Yeah, I think I can update on that. So we have a couple of external speakers lined up for April. On April 7th, we have Mr. Ming Zhu from DOE. He accepted our invitation. And then I forget the date. I think of course, it's 21st April. It's Miss Laura Wilkerson, again from Oak Ridge DOE.
Well done.
Yeah, so we were also kind of trying to look for somebody on 24th of March. We've not had any positive responses so far. So, I mean, that slot is like still open. I was hoping we could
Well, that would be good
identify.
for internal. We haven't had, we could have an internal.
Yeah, so we had actually reached out to some internal speakers itself for March 24th. But I thought maybe like going back to WMS, maybe everybody who attended was maybe excited to hear about somebody who's maybe recently joined CRESP or something, and maybe figure out a name that we can potentially reach out to.
Potentially someone could give a presentation that they gave at WMS. That's another idea. Because we didn't all go to the talk, presumably. So that's another thought. We could talk about it offline, but if someone would like to volunteer who gave a talk at WMS, that would also be fine.
That sounds
already
like
got
a good
it.
idea.
Talk ready. Well, if you're interested to do that, you can just let us know.
Can I pitch a name that maybe y'all should request?
Sure.
Paul Black from Neptune. Actually, Haruko brought him up in the chat, and he was actually on the panel that I asked a question at. And I think his company is very interesting. I know he's a good friend with Dr. Cawson, so he may be willing to give a talk. So
great.
It's a good idea. Yeah, get Paul on here.
Well, we should also start thinking past April. Are we going to have seminars in the summer, and do we want to come up with a new list of names? We can talk about that next week. But yeah, anyone who has ideas for speakers that you'd like to hear from in the series, just share them with Rapunjali and Lara, or anyone. Me, Nick. Okay. Anyone have any announcements or anything else to share this Friday afternoon?
Yay.
Indeed.
Jody, do I owe you anything? What? I vaguely remember seeing something, but I can't find it. I just went through my email.
I'll send them to you again. It's the milestone trackers for February.
I thought I did it, but okay, so resend it. I can't find it.
Okay.
Thanks, Joanne. Now we all got to do that.
You too, Craig. I need it from you too.
I know you do.
I mean, I was busy with waste management and it sort of went by the wayside.
It did come in the middle of all that. Yeah, I need. Indeed.
It's okay. I was gonna send reminders after the call today, so I'll just send a reminder and I'll attach those to you.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that, all of you.
I'm sorry to break up the meeting with that, but you know, it all of a sudden occurred to me. I kept seeing your face and saying, I know I owe her something. I know something. I owe her something.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. I think we'll
That's
end it
what
there.
happens, you young professionals. People want things from you.
That was fun. Thanks, everybody. Good to see y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Have a good
Martha,
week.
for doing this.
Yeah, this is really good, Martha. Thanks.